What is happening, YouTube? So this is Chad Kifalme. In this video, I want to talk a little bit about perfectionism. Perfectionism as one form of fear of failure. Fundamentally because I had set a goal for this month that I was going to put up 4 videos on YouTube. That's my goal. My goal every month now, at least for the next year, is to put up 4 videos every month, whether they're short videos, long videos, videos that are well thought out, well planned beforehand, or just shooting something of value that I can use to just build the catalog of information, the catalog of content that I'm giving everybody in order to serve. And one of the things that I figured out is that depending on what you're trying to do and the level of content you're trying to have, it's really difficult to put out 4 videos, especially if you see some of my longer videos. You see the amount of time that it takes to do that. So I've gotten down to, today is November 30th. And I was like, man, I put up 3 videos. My goal was to do 4, but I don't have time to put together anything, a real strong outline or anything of that nature. So what am I going to do? Am I just going to wait until next month, or, next month is tomorrow, and try to put something together that's a better production, that's more content, more well thought out content? Or am I going to put something out to make sure that I'm hitting my goal? And that's one of the challenges that we deal with fear of failure, is that perfectionism often masquerades as some high level quality of, oh no, I just want to make sure that I'm putting out good work. I just want to make sure that my fans or my followers or my audience understands that I'm giving them the best that I have, and so on and so forth. And that is a goal that's valuable. That's a goal that's worth shooting for. And it should be applauded to make sure that you're doing your best to give content that's valuable and useful, not only to your audience, but to people who may just land on your video or on your blog post or on your newsletter through whatever funnel they may come through, or whatever recommendation, or wherever it came from in Google, that they have something of quality and of value. But there's a way of producing things that have quality and value that don't have to be perfect. And in the end, nothing ever really is. And that's the tough part, because what happens is we tend to hide behind perfectionism. I know I've done this before, to where, I say, oh, it's not good enough, or I don't have time to put it together like I really want it, so I'm just not going to do it. And what happens is that actually is manifesting a fear of failure. Because at the end of the day, what the challenge is that we don't want to put something out that somebody's going to critique. We don't want to put something out that it doesn't look exactly the way we want it to look, that doesn't sound exactly the way we want it to sound, that doesn't give the energy that we absolutely feel like we need to give. And we end up not putting out anything. We end up not creating any content at all. We end up not shooting that video, or not writing that blog post, or not writing that article, or not doing that interview, and nothing comes of it. So instead of producing something that could be of value, even though it doesn't look the way we want it to look, we end up putting out nothing. And in putting out nothing, we don't add any value. We don't add any value to any of the cultural conversations where we need to be heard. And when I say we, I mean pretty much everybody that is intending to say something of value. Because at the end of the day, if you're saying something that's well thought out, that's well put together, something that you've thought about in your head, it has value. Now, I heard this phrase, and I forget where I heard it, so forgive me for not being able to give credit to the person that I heard it. But they said opinions are like debit cards. Everybody has one, but they're not all worth the same. And I felt like that was a really good analogy. And it's an analogy for content as well. Everybody is putting out content, but not all of it is valuable. And what we want to do, and when we get caught up in perfectionism, is that we want to make sure that we're saying something that is gonna shatter the way people are thinking. That's gonna really inspire somebody to push through the next day. And sometimes what people need is just somebody saying something that has some level of value. Somebody saying something that makes sense. Somebody sticking to their goals. Somebody producing something. And producing something on a schedule that people can understand and that people can expect, and that just balances things out. So what I would say is, don't let perfectionism and feeling like something that you have to put out actually be a manifestation of fear of failure. Because even if you put out something broken, it's a win. Because even one of the things that I teach is that even when you quote unquote fail, there are things that you can learn. There are things that you can take out of that. There are resources that you can gain to ensure that whatever your next attempt is better. Whatever your next attempt is better than what you put out this last time. You can learn how to develop systems. So for me, I can learn how to develop a system so that I get videos out and I don't have to wait until the last day of the month. Or I can learn how to get a setup to where all I have to come in and sit down and record. Just push the button and record, and it's something of value. I can write outlines at the beginning of the month. I can space out 4 outlines. I can take an hour and just draft up 4 outlines so that at any time during the month, I can come and record. And those are things that I'm just coming up with off the top of my head because I'm putting this out. So let's not allow perfectionism, which is actually just a manifestation of fear of failure, to hold us back from putting something out, from putting out something of value that other people can learn from, but more than anything that we can learn from, and that will inspire us to put the systems in place so that even when we're not at our best, even when we're not putting out something that we think is perfect or that fits exactly the way we want it to fit, that we have something that we can learn from, something that our audience can learn from, something that the people around us can learn from and can take and can build on. So this is Chad Kifalme. I appreciate your time. Thank you for giving me about 7 minutes of your time to talk a little bit about perfectionism and how perfectionism is actually a manifestation of a fear of failure. And just always remember that failure fears us. Failure understands who we are. Just the spirit of failure understands the power that's in us. And once we connect to that power, there'll be no stopping us. And we can draw all the resources for mastery from whatever we attempt, from the failed experiments or the failed attempts that we get into. So again, this is Chad Kifalme. I appreciate you. Peace.